You know what I think? Truly, I think that Suicide Squad received way too much hate. I think there's a couple of reasons why this happened. And a lot of it plagues a lot of our favorite games now. Maybe not our favorite games, especially in the mass media, but games that have potential to be really good. Games that honestly don't even get off the ground because players aren't willing to give it a chance in the current climate. I think the thing with our current, gaming journalism scene is that people hate as hard as they do on these things because they just want the popularity associated with it, because that's the popular opinion. Suicide Squad, for example, is not perfect. It's far from perfect. However, it is a pretty fun game. Let's talk about that. I truly believe this game was doomed from the start. With it being set in the Arkhamverse, made by Rocksteady, I admit, as soon as I saw Rocksteady's name at the header, I was super excited. But the game itself, I felt like we had a fatigue of rag and tag rogue team-ups, if you will. Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, any of that. That's been a lot of it lately. And once upon a time there was a leak that Rocksteady's next game was going to be a Superman game. I think it's okay that they didn't choose to go this route. So when I saw Suicide Squad first announced, I was also quite unsure about whether I would like it, whether I'd want to play it, whether it would even be good. I mean, even just fresh off the heels of Arkham Knight, how do you even compare to that? Especially since their Batman series is so legendary. I mean, even in my eyes, it's one of my favorite series of all time. I have played each game easily 10, 15 plus times, fully through, 100%ing, all the Red Alert trophies, everything like that. Yeah, I know. So the thing that I think absolutely is killing Suicide Squad, both now, pre-release, afterwards, whatever, everything, is the fact that people have these weird expectations of it. Like it's supposed to be the next Arkham game, and it's just not. It's just not. It's different in so many ways. In the Arkham games, they have this really stoic Batman and really deep combat systems, stealth, all this, which is fantastic. Love it to death. You can't do much better than that, in my opinion. But this game just isn't that. It differs in literally every single way except for the characters. This game is a sensory overload, and it very much is all over the place, mayhem all the time. That part is really neat to me because it's such a different approach to a game for Rocksteady. The thing with that is it's also a looter shooter. So it's a third-person shooter, and it's not your typical Batman game for that exact reason. You don't have much time to focus on a single enemy or a group of enemies that are gathered around you in free-flow combat. I think that this game does bring something very different to the table that is also quite good if you give it a chance. The reason why I say this is because the people that got their hands on this game early, whether that's actually playing the game or if it's even just looking at footage and throwing out their opinion, they had some really dog shit takes. And it's totally fine to criticize, but at the same time, have a reason and don't just hate a game to hate a game. I mean, there's a couple different examples of this. The Flash is too fast in his boss battle. The game is a sensory overload and the HUD is messy. I'm not gonna lie, the HUD's not great, but it's not bad once you get used to it. I don't know, it's silly because yeah, that was a design choice for this game. That's the point. And the last one I saw wasn't so much even a review, it was just spreading hate aimlessly. I don't remember the channel name or anything like that. I just call him the Spidey Kid because his dog shit, awful opinion was that this game had to be like Spider-Man 2. Okay, and that's fine. You can say that you want to be similar, but it was this whole thing saying this game's going to be garbage because it's not like that, because you're going to hear me correctly here, because Sucker Punch Studios is doing such a bad job on Suicide Squad. Sweetheart, it's Rocksteady that made this game. If you're going to criticize something, at least do a quick Google search. At least make sure you know what you're talking about. Don't just spew nonsense because you can. And I think that's the thing with our current culture online, is that people do that. People just have an opinion and don't actually try to open their mind up at all. They just spew the first thing that comes to their mind. I can't tell you how many games recently that have released that people just relentlessly dog on because they can, and they'll receive people that want to follow them because frankly, that's all that matters, is the views, the growing community behind their little hate train, and that's not fair to these projects. I mean, when it comes down to it, somebody really cared about these things. And yeah, I mean, games aren't the way that they used to be. They have gone down quite a bit, actually, but not in the sense that they should be hate on. I think that gamers are a large part of that issue. Another thing I see people hating about is the story subject matter. In a game called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you tell me what you think is going to happen. I'll wait. thing is, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. This is not a game that you sit in and you think to yourself, I want a really deep, intense story with lots of narrative twists and turns. And no, it's a turn your brain off and have fun with it kind of game, kind of story. It's very much just I wanted to enjoy this. And I think for what it is, I think it does really well. All these characters are really lovable. Even the heroes are amazing. Wonder Woman, I think this is my version of Wonder Woman that I like the most. I don't really know why. I just don't know much about Wonder Woman otherwise, to be honest. I've seen her in other things like Justice League and other things with other heroes, just never on her own much. We don't count the DCEU. But the thing I find craziest, actually, and the thing that I think makes me want to rant the most is people calling this game disrespectful to Batman or Kevin Conroy, and that's insane to me because honestly, no, it's not. This whole game, in a lot of ways, acts as an homage to the Arkham games. They honestly, in the beginning, cannot stop reminding you that this is set in the Arkhamverse. Hell, I mean, the whole game is spent around, well, not the whole game. The whole game up until you get to Batman is spent talking about how Batman is legendary and how of the Justice League, you'd rather have literally anyone else fight you except Batman. And people are talking about how Batman went out, but they're not talking about the boss fight that was before that. It's the best done boss fight in this entire game because the whole thing before it deals with Batman dousing you in fear gas. It's this whole thing in the Batcave where you're all separate. And the same thing with the Batman experience at the beginning of the game where you're walking through the little theme park attraction set in the Arkhamverse. So no, I don't think it's disrespectful. And once you look at the tribute at the very end of the game, you can tell these people had a lot of love for the people that they were working with, that this meant a lot to them. And I really do appreciate what they did in the treatment. And if anyone from Rocksteady's watching this, man, thank you. It was a good send-off. I mean, it wasn't what everyone wanted, I don't think, but I do think that it really was true to the characters involved, and it's appreciated. Now let's switch gears a little bit. The game itself. I do think it's pretty fun. The pros are that the combat is simple but satisfying. It's a very easy game to get into, and there are a couple systems that they throw at you right away, and it seems like a lot, but it actually ends up flowing into gameplay super well. The traversal abilities are also very great. They are very different per character, and they make each character play quite differently, and that's nice. I mean, it's not a crazy difference, but it is neat to see that you can kind of choose how you want to get around. The cons are that this game is plagued by several issues. I do think that there are a lot of things this game could have done differently, and I really hope they get ironed out at some point because it could be really good. It could be. The biggest of them, honestly, is just a lack of variety in missions. I mean, there are different objectives, but it's largely the same. You go and fight purple enemies defending or trying to capture an objective. That's fine. One huge glaring problem that I don't think just this game suffers from, I think it's just the gaming world that we live in now, is that it has an in-game store off day one, and it was like the only thing functioning perfectly. That's annoying to me. Plus, I mean, in a game like this, having unlockable things like skins, suits, stuff like that, especially a superhero game, is essential, because man, I think Arkham Origins of any of the Arkham games did the suits the best because you could earn most of them in game, and that was great. I really like that. DLC suits are fine, but if you're gonna do that, make it like a DLC pack, like Arkham City, like Arkham Knight did. That's great, that's fine. I don't mind that. But don't ask me to spend $20 every time I see a new skin in the store that I think looks pretty cool. How am I gonna pay $70 for a game and then also have to keep paying rent to this game so I can use this new content? That makes no sense. No, I do hate that part of this game and a lot of other games that are also releasing. So I guess what I ask of you as the player is, if you want to play this game and haven't already, please do. You know, maybe even wait for a sale. I don't know. It's one of those games that I know I like these characters. I really like the story. I think that's one of those things that not everyone does have the same opinion on. But I think it's worth a play if you do have any kind of interest. If all you've seen are reviews online, please, I beg you, try to find an open-minded one. Try to find something that isn't just dog on this game because it exists. Is this game perfect? No. Does it deserve the hate it's getting? Also, no, not at all. It's insane, actually, how much hate this game is getting. My call to action for the developers: stop putting these annoying things in the game. Stop doing this. Like, this game would be so good if not for the fact that it was structured to be a money-grabbing thing every, I don't know, however often they want to add skins. They did say all post-launch DLC, like characters and stuff, is going to be free, and that's nice, but come on, man, a store? Are you kidding? That's just a lack of content. It's not exciting. That's not fun. I'm not gonna buy any of these skins. I got 2,000 the Lex coins because the servers didn't work at first. I got early access. Didn't work at first. I still haven't used them because now I'm scared to use them because I'm not gonna buy more. I refuse to. Games like this, and putting this game in the same kind of group as The Avengers or Gotham Knights is kind of unfair because those games were not nearly as polished or as well done as this one was. But I think it does kind of apply. Just put more love into it, please. Avengers was one of the most hyped up games. It could have been so great, but honestly, it fell short just because it felt so wonky. It felt so rushed, I guess. It didn't feel like a lot of love went into it. Gotham Knights actually wasn't bad. It just wasn't satisfying to play, and another game that was absolutely hard to play compared to, say, the Arkham games, because there was a comparison there. There was already an expectation. So my ask of you is this: just take the time, get these things right, make it satisfying, write it so that it actually feels like a good homage to the characters. And I think that's why I love Suicide Squad so much, because honestly, playing through the story, I was engaged the entire time. Did not have that with Avengers, did not have that with Gotham Knights. This game does that quite well, and every character in this game, almost, I think there might be one or two that I didn't like very much, felt great. I appreciate that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, fantastic. Thank you for just being open-minded. If you're in my comments scathing me, you're probably part of the problem. That's okay. All I'm doing here, my whole goal with this is to try to let us all have better games, is to help spread some positivity, because everything is so negative anymore. Anything you see online with video games, I feel like anymore is so negative, whether it's players spreading toxicity to each other or about the games releasing or any number of things, honestly. It seems like I find a new way that people are being toxic every single time I get on TikTok or YouTube or wherever you enjoy your content. It's just exhausting. So what I'm trying to do here is just kind of flip that script a little bit, because frankly, we don't need that anymore if we ever did. Anyways, if you like this, just stick around. I mean, you know, I'm gonna try to start posting here again more often. I haven't in a long time, and if you're looking at my channel right now, you probably realize that. I will have more opinions like this coming, and they won't all be these in defense of videos. It'll be other stuff too. But I will see you when I see you. Stay lovely.